Ooh, almost. Bring it.
Live from Texas, the We Love Law and Order unless you apply it to us capital of the world. This is the Plutopia Happy Hour. The unusual suspects here, Susie Sheeler, Screamus Joy. I'm Scoop Sweeney, and our warm-up act tonight is John Dubkowski. Take the stage, John.
I'm really a hot
give
one
him a
tonight.
hand or a foot or an elbow. Law and Order. Is it Law and Order or Law and Odor? It's
Law and Odor.
Yeah, it is odiferous in Austin these days.
I'm like, can we claim either of those titles? Like,
No.
honestly.
Either or.
Well, actually, yeah, I guess we can if you consider that the state police are totally in our neighborhoods. So yeah, I think we've got some order. I think we're terrified.
Listen, I'm feeling pretty bad because we're kind of like in a bubble that's not quite inside the city limits. We do not have any state police in our neighborhood.
They're everywhere, man. I saw a whole horde of them. What do you call it? It was a basket of bicycle cops.
I don't know about you,
A
John,
basket of bicycle cops.
if you're in the bubble that I'm in, you probably can't get any police to come to your neighborhood. So it's like a totally different.
Oh man.
Oh, Susie, I like your basket of bicycle cops. Is it
Thank
like a
you.
murder of crows? Or
Yes,
That's-
very much
that's
so.
really- that's
Yeah,
lovely.
it's like a Lotkey of lesbians. I don't know.
I'm not touching that one.
I actually am
You're
not
on
going to
your
touch
own.
that one.
Just trying to figure things out as I go.
I know, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So we will, if you don't mind, I would like to discuss a fascist takeover of the country, if y'all don't mind, and
Which
perhaps
takeover? There are so many fascist
Well,
takeover. I need a list.
so the most recent thing that is really that it stuck with me is the South Carolina, learning that the South Carolina governor had said that he can't wait until there are so few Democrats that we can hunt them with dogs.
Hmm.
So that to me is saying we just want one party, which seems fascist.
Yeah, that's more, not even so much fascist, more let's bring back the Confederacy because we had so much fun back then.
Yeah, I feel like that goes, well, I think it's a little bit of both. So yeah.
I also heard, I can't remember who it was some brilliant House member or something, and he said Democrats are the party of government, and Republicans are are the party of rulers.
Mhm.
And I think that sums it up pretty well,
Well, I mean, the Republican Party is the party of the little people. And they're definitely a party that doesn't want to have anything to do with the elites.
But who are the elites? Because
I don't know.
How is that defined?
I mean, I heard today that Lachlan Murdoch and Donald, whose name we shall not mention.
I'm telling y'all, this is why we need a sub name.
I know, I just almost did it.
Wow.
that those guys are totally against the elites. And it's like they're billionaires. How can
And
they
they
be
went to
against the
Ivy
elites?
League
Well,
schools.
Well, I want to know who the little people are. Is that like the Munchkins or the
Kid Rock,
Leprechauns?
Kid
or
Rock type folks.
who are these
Those
little
are the
people?
little people. I
Hmm.
mean, well, I'm saying in context of the Republican Party is the party of the little people. Yes, I would say the Kid Rock fans are in the Republican Party considered the little people. I don't think they consider Democrats at all. In fact, I just heard that one of the producers at Fox called their viewers dumb cousin fuckers.
That's actually quite,
Oh my God.
In a
that's quite
text.
accurate.
They got it written down.
Well,
Rupert
so-
Murdoch is no longer the head honcho now.
That's
He is
one
still,
reason.
he's
He
supposedly
successioned.
stepping
He
back.
saw the
and
show and he didn't like the way it ended, so he just bailed.
he's letting Lachlan. But yeah, there was a great thing in Apple News this morning that I read. It was from Vanity Fair, and it's a book that's coming out. This guy is a biographer of Rupert Murdoch. It's a new one that's just coming out, and they had leaks on it. And this guy that
it's by Michael Wolff.
yeah,
Oh, I love that
Michael
guy.
Wolff, and
Yeah, Michael
He writes
Wolff, a
fun
guy that
stuff.
I interviewed years ago for the
Oh,
Chronicle.
wow.
Yeah.
and
Right
he has some interesting stuff, but
Yeah.
it looks like there's a really good chance that problem with Rupert was he married way too many times and had way too many kids, and now all of them are just waiting for him to shuffle off the mortal coil, and they can start dividing up the empire.
Yep.
And that's going to get really ugly and going to
I can't
pretty much
wait.
dice up, slice and dice Fox News for sure.
I wonder if Fox News will cover this story.
No, of course not. They in the article I read this morning, they tried to get them to make a comment, and he's like, "No comment."
The Washington Post.
Maybe
no, Wall
Elon will
Street
step
Journal.
in and buy it. I mean,
Oh, he'd save everything.
he would save it, or take it apart and kill it.
Yeah.
He'd charge people to subscribe to Fox News, and they'd pay.
This is insane that that's what he's doing. It's like, why not just pull the plug, dude? This is just this is like a slow.
This is like a big
motion
giant video
train
game
wreck.
for him. This is just
Oh.
he's just like a boy breaking
It's
toys in a sandbox.
I think it's a way for him to stay relevant in the social media world. That's my feeling, because his shit keeps wrecking into other stuff. He's got all these satellites that he's
It was either that or the cage fight, and we all knew that wasn't going to work out.
So I figure what he's trying to do is going to make everybody so sick of him that they'll do anything to get him to go to Mars, right? So he'll be able to raise money for his Mars trip very easily.
I will kick in a donation.
Okay, well, wait a
if we just
minute.
guarantee
Nobody
he will
asked me about
leave.
that GoFundMe. I'm on.
Well,
where is that?
yeah. Oh, how many of us are going to sign up for the brain implant? Now that's
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Wait,
What is it?
what brain implant?
Yeah, what's the brain implant? And whose brain?
I mean, you got to have a brain to get a brain implant.
Elon's new what's the name of the company?
I can't remember, but it's a little.
I bet it's got X in it though. Brain X.
Neura X, whatever. He's been granted permission to do studies on testing of this brain implant will supposedly allow someone who had ALS or had full paralysis
Okay, well that's
communicate with a device just by thinking about it.
That's pretty
And,
powerful.
Yeah,
Well,
if it
that's-
works. If it works.
That'll be a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, except I know there are people in the
No, there's-
military industrial complex who are going, "Oh, let me get some of them so I can
Exactly.
drill it into all of
Well,
our
it's just-
soldiers so they'll
You
obey
guys have
no matter
watched too
what."
many
Okay, now I
science
have
fiction
ignorance.
movies.
I have ignorance here
disagree.
that I'll fully admit, but is this just basically evolving off of what they did with Stephen Hawking's, because he was functionally able to communicate without communicating using technology. I mean, and so it seems like this is that next level,
It is, but if
internalizing
you-
it.
Yeah, but if you think about who's doing it,
That's always kind of the case with everything.
well, exactly, and we already know, but we know who this is. We know what he
Yeah.
does, and we know that he is probably really happy to sell this information to the highest army bidder in the world, because you can control a whole lot of people with one of those things.
We did.
I
just
think
get
you got
approved
it
for Starlink
backwards.
today.
I mean, the thing
See?
is, this brain implant is supposed to allow people who otherwise can't to control their environment to some extent. It's not so that you can control them.
And you know what? That is a great cover story. And I think that everybody would be into that and probably laud him even and that seems to do a lot of social damage.
Okay, so like I this is along the lines of, I don't like to be a conspiracy theorist. I really, really don't.
Ukraine, man.
But here's
Ukraine.
here's an analogy. Okay. Whenever I see the really, really incredible drone formations in the sky, where there's like 1,000 of them and they're like walking like a dinosaur,
a dragon,
and I'm like,
shit.
wow, look at all the control they have. Like, what if they all came down to us? Like, okay, so I don't know. Like,
now that's a more rational concern than this brain implant thing, because the brain implant thing is like science fiction.
That's exactly what I'm saying, is that you know, it's not, listen, science fiction has always been a predictor in my opinion of things that happen. And I do think,
but not really. I mean, science fiction is not necessarily a very good predictor. Sometimes they, you know, there'll be something that kind of works out. I mean, where they predict something. Arthur C. Clarke had a pretty good record.
I don't mean like they're predicting the future.
Predict doesn't happen.
That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, gadgets. I mean, communication, you know, flying cars, this kind of shit. These kinds of things science fiction writers are making up. And science here is doing it.
Yeah, well, you know,
so where's
science fiction,
my flying car?
Product.
Wait for it, John. It's coming.
Where is my flying car?
Yeah.
I don't have it.
Well, they are already starting.
They got the due date wrong
with aero taxis, and I'm trying to
trust me.
What city
it's
that
coming.
was in.
It damn well better be electric.
Well,
they are actually electric helicopter taxis that companies are already developing, and you know,
that's
all you
cool.
have to do is write about it in science fiction, and some geek's going to go, "That's a great idea. Let's build one, no matter how destructive
I don't know.
it is to the environment."
Hey, July
I have
6th, a flying car prototype just got an airworthiness certificate on July 6th.
Bam!
This year. So
there
your flying car is on its way to production. It got airworthiness certificate, and it is going to move to the next stage of funding.
I'm changing my name to George Jetson.
So here's
John Jetson. John Jetson.
I think that you could market something like this in a way that you wouldn't even have to do it. I don't think you would have to be too persuasive. Like Apple could do a great marketing campaign about getting something in your head that would let you listen to music anytime you wanted to in your head, let you translate.
Definitely wearable computing and integrated computing is the way. I mean, we are going to become cyborgs of some sort. We already are, even when things like Inspire, like the insert, or, you know, if you get like all of those like old school medical devices, take that to that technology level. And Susie's kind of on point, you know, in that sense that,
I mean, depending on how you define cyborg, we definitely already are. I mean, just wearing this Apple Watch makes me a cyborg.
Yeah, but it's going to get more intro.
You just need to go to downtown Austin and watch all the little people with a little screen in their face walking down, running into buildings, running into each other, having no contact with the outside world. They are definitely headed to the cyborg.
I swear I saw like a new word. Maybe it was fubber. For somebody who always has a phone in their face. It's a fubber.
Oh, really?
PHU.
Well, yeah.
You know, it is.
Let me know, youth, if I'm wrong on that. But I think
it's kind of funny to be on a cruise ship in Alaska, approaching a massive, incredible glacier, and everybody is on deck like this.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, looking at the glacier through their phone.
Well, it's the same thing. Go to any concert.
Yeah, I was going to say
and
concert.
You see all these phones up in the air, and it's like, dude, you are there, and you are never going to watch that again because
exactly
when you play it back, it will suck. It always does.
It's the photographer's dilemma. If you're a photographer, you always have this problem that you're removing yourself from the experience to some extent because you're experiencing it through your lens.
Like
and
Lauren
and you're thinking about getting your shot.
That's a different dilemma, Susie.
I think she got her shot.
She got her shot.
Only part
she was not removing herself. Okay, let's just start with she was not removing herself.
She was filming herself, though. Selfie. I mean, Beetlejuice. She was filming Beetlejuice, just like we're saying. It was
And
real
grabbing
life.
somebody by the nuts.
Oh,
Did you see that video?
I saw all of the video.
It's like, oh, come on.
And then
Okay, that's so
This
funny
is a
because
conservative.
I totally didn't see the video of
Oh
her
my-
filming the movie, so now I'm like
oh
at a
yeah,
whole
it's
different
not
level.
a movie. It wasn't
think-
a movie.
yeah, it was a play.
Oh, it was
Play
a
based
live
on
event.
Beetlejuice.
Oh my god,
There
this story
were-
for me keeps getting epic. I try to avoid Laura. I try to avoid news of her,
the
and it just keeps
age
getting
limit-
epically worse every.
Well,
everything
what I want to
get.
know
The age
is,
limit was 10 and up. So there were
Oh.
children there.
yeah, what was she vaping? I just want to know that because
We all know it's Colorado.
Listen, I feel really bad for Lauren Boebert because she was there. She was trying to have sex in that audience there, and
And
nobody would let her.
that pregnant woman behind her, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Shut
really.
up. I am gonna
Yeah.
vape in here. Do you
Seriously,
know who
a
I
First
am?
Amendment freedom of expression issue, and I'm behind her all the way. No,
The First Amendment right to vape. Yeah, exactly.
I-
Hey,
Well, you
hey,
know,
we're supposed to be talking about somebody that we're not supposed to be talking about.
Well, these are all
Well, let's not talk about him.
supporters. Well, how,
we're not talking.
You guys are avoiding talking about him by talking
They're-
about other things.
yeah,
these
these
are-
are all
these are agents.
Exactly, the agents of his empire. He who shall not be named. But,
also,
you know,
take-
it's just amazing the impact that social media is having on us because, you know, social media outed, you know, Robert. And there's all these people, these influencers who are cropping up who are just suddenly becoming so entitled. Talk about entitled people. The people, once you're an influencer, the you know, skanky person who was on the plane that got outed for she was a what was it, a Instagram influencer and
yeah.
got thrown off a plane. It's like we're surrounded by these people, and it's like, come on,
She's
you
the
are
one
not
who
a
said,
star. It's just media that's kind of gotten out of control.
are you talking about the woman who said the person wasn't real? Who was sitting next to her?
Oh yeah, I think that was the one. Yeah, she was.
I
very
think she was having a
stankified.
breakdown. I think she was having a full-on breakdown. She said, I don't care if you guys want to die with this, but I'm getting the fuck off this plane. That person back there isn't real.
Yeah, that sounds
I
like a
think
breakdown.
she
Well,
was
you know,
losing
Casey,
her shit.
you'll run into somebody who's fairly inauthentic. I mean, it happens.
Yeah,
Hey, listen,
get-
I want to. I just because I did some prep.
okay.
I just want to frame a conversation here, and we don't have to talk about it for very long if you don't want to. But this guy who shall not be named,
Donald Duck.
the one that we're
Can I
not
call
going to
him
talk
Tramp?
about. Yeah, or you know, you could call him a juggalo or something like that.
You go with
Anyway,
Tramp. It's easy.
But there is an ongoing conversation about whether media, and I'm having a whole shift in my thinking about media, by the way, which I'll talk about sometime.
Me too.
And we're going to have an interview with Jeff Jarvis, who has a new book called The Gutenberg Parenthesis, and it is an eye opener.
Interesting.
But that's a sideline. But what I was going to say is that there's this conversation about how should media cover he whose name shall be forgotten and ignored, whether they should cover this guy or not, because they're feeding his energy. And on the other hand, he's sort of the leading candidate for a big political party, so they feel like they have to cover him.
Well,
And the result of that is that he's getting a lot of ink, throwing a lot of energy his way.
more airtime than anyone
I think there's like
else.
also a question of how do they have to cover him. So, you know, yes, there may be a sort of journalistic ethic around he is a leading candidate and all, but how do they cover him and how is he portrayed?
Right. They shouldn't cover him as though he was sane and normal, and that he was like a normal political candidate. But
Did y'all see
because
the
of their
Kristen Walker?
templates, they kind of have to do that.
Did
Yeah,
y'all see the
I
Kristen
saw
Walker
that.
interview?
Was
I
awful.
saw
Yeah.
that. I also saw the fact checks of that
It
one.
was
Well,
so
the real
horrible.
reason he gets covered by all these channels is everybody that's a journalist there knows they shouldn't be doing it, but there are people in the head office who says you have to do it because it gets eyeballs, it gets numbers, it gets ratings, and we make money
I
off of
don't
it.
think
That's
it
Well,
that's the
does
bottom line
anymore,
in
though.
Okay,
media.
but
It
but
doesn't
I want
matter
to
how bad it is. You got to do it because it makes money.
But
I want
he's
to
not.
explain something about the Kristen Welker interview and some of
Yeah.
the other interviews he's done. So the thing that really sums the problem up with that interview is her saying more than once, "Well, we need to move on. We need to move on." So here's the
Agreed.
problem: you get somebody who's going to interview the vampire, and they're going to interview him for like they've got 10 minutes, maybe, or 5 minutes or something, whatever amount of time. It's a finite number of minutes they've got to talk to him. And they have a list of things they're supposed to cover. That I have this X number of questions I have to cover within this X number of minutes. So meanwhile, he's like steamrolling them. He's like spewing lies and crazy. And they're just trying to kind of get from one question to another. And that means that it's virtually impossible for them to do an effective fact check, which could take several minutes out of the interview for each lie he tells. So they get a lot of criticism for not challenging him enough, even if they kind of try to do it. But the real problem is that everything's moving so fast, and there's no way that they can drill down on any of the crazy lies that he tells. Some
But
of them require some fairly complex explanations.
And he knows that and plays to that. Like he
Yeah,
actually
he does. He does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that is a technique that politicians have used for hundreds of years.
And so you
You
would think that
steamroll your way
journalists
past
would
all the
learn.
questions and ignore the questions and get your message across and try to just derail any legitimate questioning that the journalists are trying to do. Because I've been at so many press conferences back when I was doing the street reporter thing and
Yeah.
going to all sorts of press conferences. And anytime it was a politician who had issues, any kind of issues, they would dodge and they would try to just make a lot of noise and not really acknowledge any of the questions. You'd ask the question and they'd turn 90 degrees and go in another direction. That's just the way it always has worked.
So
And
what
it helps
what we
them.
need is a journalist who, in interviewing this person we're not going to name, will actually take the time to say, well, maybe I just get to one question, but if he lies about it, I'm going to drill down and I'm going to show that he's lying.
And that's the thing. I think if you're a good journalist, you know how to talk to this guy, you know your history on this guy. And when you do an interview, you don't need to be fact checked by whoever behind you. I mean, in the moment, you don't, if you know it's wrong, say it's wrong. It's not that difficult, and then let them I don't know. I think that a sign of a good journalist is like you were just saying, like, what was the guy, David? He did that great interview with him, and he like he kept pulling up look at this piece of paper that shows this. I wish I could
What was
remember
his
that
name?
guy's
I was
name.
trying to think of his name
Such
too, and
a
I couldn't
great
remember.
interview. And he would not let Trump off the hook. In fact, Trump walked out.
Yeah.
Well,
If
see,
you
that's
That's
the
the
deal
issue, though.
is there are really great journalists
Thank
out
you.
there who would do just what you were saying, but they will never be allowed to do it.
Yeah.
The handlers for he who shall not be named will never allow him to say, yeah, I'll do an interview with him or her or it, whatever.
But
He
you know that-
he only agrees to interviews that he knows he's going to be able to control.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really
if it's a
fundamentally the
wimp,
issue.
he'll be fine.
So
Wimpy
back to John's
journalist, yeah.
question is like, should he be covered at all? Knowing that that's what you get, that's what it is, and the game it's a game. It's a fundamental game. He knows how to play it. There may be things that, he sucks at, but this is not actually one of them.
Yeah, and the box that they're in is that they kind of have to talk to him because he's a leading candidate. So what are they going to do? It's a trap.
I don't think they should televise any of his rallies. That is extra airtime.
Yeah,
I think that
ridiculous.
is illegal.
If you do that, you need to do all the rallies, and of course, that would be impossible. I mean, don't give him another $100 million in donors.
I don't know.
He's gotten more than enough free media throughout his career, and he definitely doesn't need any more of that. In that capacity, it's kind of unbelievable, really.
Then again, I do hope that they broadcast it when he speaks to the United Auto Workers.
Oh, please. He's going to say, nobody knows more about auto than I do.
He doesn't even know how
It
to
doesn't
drive
matter.
a
I mean,
car.
those guys they're a bunch of union people. Those guys are unionized.
He can barely
And
drive
Trump
a
and
car.
his ilk, all of the Republicans are down on unions big time.
Yeah, well, Trump has
I don't think he's going to have a receptive audience there.
He's been a union buster for most of his life. I mean, his entire family was built on that. They didn't allow any
He should
unions
take
in
Rudy
any
with
of his
him.
companies.
You
Rudy can
mentioned
talk
his
to him.
name. You're not
Rudy
supposed
could
to
totally
do
talk
that.
to him.
I didn't say his name.
It wasn't you. It was Scoop.
What? Oh, anyway.
Tramp. I'm telling you, Tramp
Wait a minute.
works. Okay, Tramp.
It's not Halloween
One
yet. You
letter.
can't.
Give me a second.
And it works.
I'm
He's
going to start
an actual
something
tramp.
here.
I mean,
I
he is a
like
tramp.
Trick or
Saggy.
treat.
I like
Oh,
like
no, we've lost-
Saggy.
Scoop
He's
got
gonna
so
do
upset
something.
that he did that he got
He
up and
just
walked off.
left.
He left.
Look
He's
at
like,
him.
I gotta go get more wine.
Oh, he went to
Okay, I'm going
go
to
get
talk.
a gallon of liquor.
No, this is the his name we shall not say jar, so I'm putting a quarter in. Right?
Oh, nice. Okay.
Okay,
We're all gonna get rich.
especially with me.
I didn't know if this was going to be like one of those like shot drinking games, or
No.
I haven't like, what's the deal here?
Drink a shot every time Trump tells a lie.
Okay,
Oh!
you owe me
better
a
throw a
quarter.
quarter
You
to
owe me a
Trump.
quarter.
All I've got is a
Oh,
nail.
God.
That works. He's not worth much more. Just because it's a transition, but maybe I won't do it. That cop who
You gotta
said
do
that
it.
that girl had limited value because she was 26.
Who?
Oh, I
What?
didn't remember
Where?
that story.
Okay, so yeah, you do. This cop hit a young woman who was a grad student in Seattle. And then cut to a supervisor talking to his captain or whatever, laughing about that, saying, "Oh no, she's dead. Oh, she's dead." And then he goes, "Ha ha 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 ha! We'll just cut a check. Ha ha ha! $11,000. She was 26. She had limited value." That's a real thing that happened.
Was that Janavi Kandula?
That would be the woman who died. Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Limited value.
Seattle cop defends laughing about limited value grad student killed in police car collision.
Seems like she was right at the beginning of her peak value. Seems like she had a lot of fucking value.
Well,
Let's see. I want to see how he defended his remarks.
I
that would be
know.
interesting. And why is this stuff happening?
I'm trying to see what his defense was.
I wonder if he is a
There is no
supporter
defense for
of
those remarks.
Saggy. That's what I called him. Saggy. That's my name for him tonight.
Saggy. I'm going with Tramp. You're going with Saggy.
I'm going with
This is-
Saggy.
I'm down for this. This is
Okay,
nice.
good.
It says, he says, I intended the comment as a mockery of lawyers. I was imitating what a lawyer tasked with negotiating the case would be saying and
Oh my
being
God, I hope so
sarcastic.
many lawyers sue
Being
him.
sarcastic to express that they shouldn't be coming up with crazy arguments to minimize the payment.
You lying sack of fucking shit.
Oh my God. I hope he gets
Watch
I
the
hope he gets
video.
sued for like libel of all
Holy
lawyers.
shit.
Watch the video, because you can hear his captain or whatever saying something and him just cracking up and then saying, oh no, she's dead. She is dead. She must have, like, when he hit her, she like flipped up on the window. He's not talking.
That's morbid.
He's
You know,
So
the whole concept of the body cam for for law enforcement is a really important thing, and they obviously really hate it. And
this
there's
is
always
his cruiser camera.
and, all of these cameras, and there's a lot of really notorious police agencies who don't mind if you just switch off the camera or point it in the wrong direction or
Mhm.
that's
unplug
part
the
of their
microphone.
training sometimes.
Yeah. You don't know how many times I watch a lot of these arrest and law videos, and so many cops, when they get pulled over or something happens, they're beating their wife or whatever, they're like, just turn it off. You got to just turn it off. And the young kids are like, man, we can't do that stuff anymore. I wish I could.
Well, the smart ones are starting to understand the impact that comes later when they get discovered. When you
hope
get
so.
outed on some of these things, you may have felt like a real badass when you did whatever it is you did, but when the video and audio come become
It's
public,
interesting too,
then
though. It
it's a whole
also
different thing.
speaks to an interesting pervasiveness of video that it's like they know they have video on them, they have it on them so much, and it's like uncontainable, so to speak.
And now they're saying that they're trying to pass a law, and I think it's in different states. I don't think it's federal. I don't think it could be. But certain states are trying to pass laws where you have to stand a certain amount of feet away or yards away, or the other one is you can't film police anymore. There are two things that are trying to be advanced in several
That wouldn't hold
states.
up in court.
Yeah,
That's what
they've already
I
tried
don't
that, and
know.
it's been kicked out by a number of different courts, and it's you could basically be telling media you can't film anything, or citizens can't film anything. You can't
That's what
film
there's. Yeah.
your kid's soccer game because it might show somebody doing something naughty.
Yep.
So, I mean,
No, I
that's
understand.
not going to hold up.
But also, you would think that you couldn't make a law telling someone that they couldn't leave the state to get an abortion. That's Fourth Amendment violation right there, the right to travel. And then they would arrest the person who took you. And that's a law. They're trying to do. How do you enforce that?
We'll talk about that kind of thing. Senator Tommy Tuberville.
Exactly.
I think I'd be calling him Tuberville.
Tuberville.
I thought it was Tuberville, but it's Tuberville, I guess.
He's a tubby tuber.
I mean, this guy.
Tubby Tuberville.
And he's all offended now that they decided to do a individual vote to get around him. He's just, I mean, I'm not a big military fan, but these are jobs that have to be filled, and this idiot is doing it just because he opposed the policy of giving some help to people in anti-abortion states that are in the military to go and get an abortion somewhere else.
And the feds supersede the states on
Yeah.
this situation.
And Tommy T, the idiot, is just he is the epitome of the really bad, deep Southern politician. I mean, he's the poster child for that.
Who wants to believe he is a hero and is so fucking horribly, laughably wrong. It's sad. This is how I feel about the majority of the Republican Party now. And the women in the Republican Party who are senators and whatever House members in state level and national
Handmaids.
Yeah, handmaids.
The handmaids of the Republican Party.
I am disgusted by these people. I am disgusted by these women. What in God's name are you doing? It's like the log cabin Republicans. How can you be, how can you be such a proud, self-loathing queer. How does that even work? I do not get it.
Ask Lindsey Graham.
He's not part of those. He's not a log cabin
Don't
Republican.
underestimate the power of self-loathing.
No, he's an out
in
and
the
out
Republican
Republican.
Party.
So here's another thing. So apparently the government may get shut down here, and Trump is strongly encouraging the GOP to
excuse
shut
me?
down the government to
Porter?
end the prosecutions. Oh,
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've lost it. Okay,
Okay.
50 cents
No,
now.
Porter,
I'm up
I'm
to
telling
50
you,
cents.
if you come up with
Okay.
a name, you're going to solve this problem.
I don't actually use cash, so I'll have to Venmo the money.
we
How
we
do you
should set
Venmo
up an
a quarter?
account specifically for this.
Yeah, we really should.
I do have some Canadian quarters, though.
Ooh, that works.
Where are they? I don't know.
Okay.
Yes. So what you were saying, say it again, but without using his name.
I said that the vampire is encouraging the GOP to shut the government down to end his prosecutions.
Yes.
And I
That
heard
makes sense for the way
today
he
that
strategizes.
that is one of the demands now. One of the demands now is that
Oh my God.
they're going to
way.
shut down the government unless they back off on Trump.
Well, if they shut down the government, then they're going to stop the Biden investigation.
So here's the
Which is
deal.
going
It's
so
pretty
well,
simple.
right?
I think
Oh,
that
yeah,
the
that's a great
investigation, though, into Trump, because only
Wait,
essential,
you did it now.
non-essential. Oh, fuck me. Okay, I got
Okay.
a Kleenex. That's all he's worth.
Okay. Curse jar for you. You owe a quarter. Now,
I
you know,
just put it.
a
I gave him a
dime.
Okay,
Kleenex.
I'm gonna say that like whoever doesn't say his name at all wins, and right now I'm winning. So
Yes, you are winning.
It's true.
Scoop and I each have one. But okay, wait. What was I saying about that though?
You were talking about the
Government shutdown?
government
Yeah.
shutdown. Yes.
Okay, so everyone will be furloughed except for what they believe are essential workers who will just work without pay. So I would assume that the January 6th and Trump and saggy stuff
Aha, 50 cents.
will be now I'm all upset because I said his name. Damn it.
rules.
You do realize that if the government's shut down, I'm toast
Oh, me too.
because I live on
baby.
government like handouts. No, actually, Social Security, which I paid into. for my
That's
whole
right.
life.
And I get Social Security, and that I paid into, and that's not that's what they like to call entitlements. And it pisses me off
Entitlements.
because the fact is you are entitled to it because it's yours.
You're entitled to it
That's where
because you
entitlement
bought it.
Exactly.
You
Well-
bought it and it's yours.
Well, I've got a
Exactly.
question here now. They're investigating Hunter Biden because
Yes.
he was on drugs and he got a gun.
Yes, just like
And all those
33 million other
Republicans out there,
Americans.
I know they all have guns. And come on, you know some of those folks have been snorting cocaine,
that gay.
Off of their
Adderall,
guns.
smoking a
Literally
joint, or
off of their
vaping.
guns.
Yes.
And they have their guns.
Right?
They have enough guns to start a revolution.
Yeah, and
They don't
have
really
been-
care about
Why
the
are
gun
they being
charges.
investigated?
They don't
But
care
see-
about the gun charges. What they're trying to show is that the Biden family is corrupt, that Joe Biden was on the take, that Hunter Biden was funneling money to Joe in exchange for favors that he was getting from whatever people. And that's their
Yes.
contention, and that's the thing that they seek to prove. Now
and this is
they
their
are
Al
missing-
Capone move.
well, they're only missing one thing, which is evidence.
Yeah.
But they are certainly blowing a lot of smoke. And Jim Jordan, when they had that hearing,
Can we not
came
say
out
his name
and
either?
just,
That's next time.
speaking of people spewing lies, it was just one lie after another in his opening testimony or his
Yeah.
opening statement. And it's all performative. It's it's show business. It's
I
a
think one of the
performance for the base.
the funniest part to me was when, and I can't remember which Dem this was, but he was like, okay, so they're mad at you for what they say you ignored a subpoena. And the chairman of this entire committee is 500 days into ignoring his subpoena for the January 6th committee. And it's
Right.
like, what the fuck is going on? How is this guy in charge? It's like Marjorie Taylor Greene being on the Homeland or the
or
whatever.
like Kim Paxton still being our attorney general.
What the
Back to my point of, we're all for law and order unless you say it applies to
Unless
us.
you're like, illegally.
he still
law and
has
order.
one count left to defend. And that's from
That's been going on for how many years?
I should say though that
2014.
government corruption isn't new, and it's probably been this bad before. And I've been trying to remember, how did we get out of it before? How did we manage to? Because there have been some pretty bad politicians.
I don't think we ever got out of it. We
Nixon
just
I'm like,
got
did
shoved
we
to the
just keep
side.
doubling down?
This keeps coming around.
I always
yeah.
like to remind people that the year I was born, my president was quitting because he was a criminal.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
We forced him to quit because and the only reason that was possible is that at some level that man knew shame.
Wait, that
At
was the year you
some
were born?
fucking well, I was
yeah,
3 years
more or
old.
less.
I feel really old.
I
Like
was
the
three
first
years
I was
president that I
born when
knew,
Harry
yeah,
Truman was
like, yeah.
president.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, that's cool though. I mean, I get told all the time, oh my God, who? When I mention somebody like even Ann Richards, I have gotten a who before, and I'm like,
Oh wow, yeah.
are
People
you from
forget.
Texas? I will kill you if you're from Texas and you just said that to me.
I agree with that. I will punch you in the neck.
I will do it in the throat, man. Oof.
Well, I've mentioned Molly Ivins among younger journalists. It's like, who's that? It's like, okay, whatever. Go write a
Yeah.
Go know your ancestors, people.
write a book review or something.
Go vlog and thank the goddess known as Molly Ivins that you get to, that anybody gives a shit what
Absolutely.
you have to say.
God, I wish we had Molly Ivins around right now.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Ann Richards. Can you
Mhm.
imagine what they would think of this shit?
I had the good fortune of interviewing her at a Republican, Texas Republican Party convention, and
Ooh.
talk about feeling like the dumbest guy in the room. I'm just
Wow.
holding a microphone, and she's saying all this wonderful stuff. I'm just like, okay. It's like
That's
talk
incredible.
about being the smartest person in the room. She was the smartest
Man.
person in the auditorium.
Oh
Wow.
man. I told you that story I heard about her, and I can't remember. I was the Speaker of the House when Ann Richards was first running, the first time she ran. And I can't remember who the guy was, but he was sitting next to Molly Ivins, and Molly said, "Move, I gotta pee." I want to say Bullock, but I could be wrong on that. I think it was Bob Bullock.
May have
And
been.
and she said, "Move, I've got to pee." And he wouldn't do it. So she turned around in the booth and she kicked him onto stepped over him to go pee. And he had to get up off the floor. So she was not to be fucked with. And
Not to
she
be
and-
trifled with.
Yeah, a lot of people learn the hard way.
she could kick an ass or two just by saying one or two things. She is one of my heroes for sure.
She was very nice.
Yes, was
Very
she?
pleasant person. So was Ann Richards.
Oh, for sure. I've met Ann a couple of times. She's
Yeah.
just something else. Yeah. She used to come through Whole Foods, and she would come there like once a week on Sundays, and she would have just come from walking around the lake. So she'd be in her spandex shorts and a t-shirt, and she'd have all her groceries, and we'd try to bag them for her. "Oh no, honey, I can do that myself. Do you need any help out?" No, I got it. She was awesome. She's the one who told me about Slang Glide. she said, "Have you ever seen Slang Wave?" And I said, "I don't know what that is. I don't understand what you're saying." And then, then it with Bill Bob Thornton. Oh, Sling Blade. No, I have not
Yeah,
yet seen that.
you have to learn to talk Texan. I used to, correct people's verbiage or their language. They were saying beer, and I'd say no, it's bear.
Bear.
You're in
Yeah,
Texan,
like bear.
you're going to have a bear.
Bear.
I need a
And
bear.
it has nothing to do with those animals with all the fur. We're going to drink a
I'm
bear.
constantly meeting people not from Texas, and I don't sport a Texas accent. So they're always like, "Oh, where are you from? Are you from here?" And I'm like, "I am." And they're like, "You don't sound like you're from here." I'm like, "Well,
Thank
I
you.
can if I want to. I mean,
After
it's
a
not
few
that I can't
bars.
talk like that because my mama does, and she says thank you and
Yeah.
please and
Sweet thing, stuff like that.
it's in my blood.
Of course, we can all do it, but we can also all speak like normal people.
It just
I
throws
was
people
forced
off.
to do that in the radio biz because I had program directors who would come up and punch you in the back of the head if if were showing your accent. Like, okay, I will talk on the radio.
I don't really know why I didn't develop it, but I think about Georgetown. It's like a lot of our friends from Georgetown didn't have accents. I think about that. It's like, I don't know. Maybe it
Can
was
you
local.
see that?
I see a
I see
I
a
say
bear.
a bar.
A
I see a
bar.
beer.
A bear.
It's a
I
bar.
see a
I see a
bear.
bear.
In,
I shot that in Alaska.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
wow,
Yeah,
it
we
is.
Everything
had
about
this
that's beautiful.
chance to spend some time with some bears.
That's really
Bars.
cool. I like bars.
That's unbearable.
Uh-huh. Oh no, you
Yeah.
wouldn't have said that.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, you mentioned a bear. Hey, maybe we should just talk about celebrities we've seen at Whole Foods Market.
Oh God, we could go on and on and on. Prince came in once. That was a lot of fun. He was in there for approximately 3 minutes, and
3 minutes is all?
Yeah. Well, okay, so he comes in and he's got his entourage around him. Of course, I think he's like 4'11" or something. So nobody could actually see him except the people in the Blue Bonnet Cafe or something, right? And or Clearwater Cafe is what it was, I think, at that time. Anyway, so some idiot, and this never happened ever. We were all very cool with celebrities, but some jackass got on the intercom and said Prince is in the building.
Oh no.
And the whole group just turned and left. And we were like,
Oh
who
my
the
God.
fuck
Yeah.
was that?
Well,
Oh, that's terrible.
that's a
I
useful
know.
tool if you want them to get the heck out of here and stop messing up your
That
day.
is true. Maybe it was
Yeah.
strategic.
Out them
Maybe.
and let them run.
No, it wasn't, because the more celebrities we got, the cooler we were. Like when we had Oprah, and we had so many. The Eagles would all come in during when I was in the Dallas one. In Chicago, Oprah was always there. It was a very, very cool place, and it was a social place for a very long time, and then it was not.
And then it's not.
Yeah,
And
it
now
was
it's something else.
beautiful. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing for a long time, but then it wasn't anymore.
Nothing lasts forever.
Your
That's right.
Prince story reminded me of a celebrity story at Antone's back when I used to go see the Scabs every single Tuesday night
Right
for many,
on.
many years in a row.
Oh,
And Bob Schneider was dating Sandra Bullock, and she used to come to
Mm.
the shows, which really pissed the regulars off because we're like, y'all, okay. But she would be there and she's like tiny. And so you would just like know she was there because there's like a divot in the crowd. It's like that's basically us. There's like this like pack around her, and you can't see her, but there's like this divot in the crowd, and it's like, oh, Sandra must be over there.
I like her. I think she's fun.
Oh, no, she's awesome.
I've met her a couple times. You know who was a real bitch was God, I don't think I can get sued for this, can I? If I think Kate Hudson was a total bitch.
oh, really?
It's a
Only
matter
she
of
hears
opinion there.
Well, I'm sorry to hear
I'm
that.
sure she will.
She seems
Yeah.
so nice. She has, such
Doesn't
a
she?
nice
And
smile.
oh my God, Goldie, how can you not be a nice person being raised by Kurt Russell and
Maybe-
Goldie Hawn?
Maybe that's it. It skips a generation, things like that.
Do you think it skips a generation with the that saggy? Because I don't.
The tramp.
Yes, I think all
No,
of it.
I
Oh,
think-
and Eric, he threw Eric under the bus.
I think. Oh, is that even like?
It just finally happened. I'm so like, told you, we're all
It
like,
just finally
told you.
happened in public. I think that's the
Yes.
way you want to say that sentence. It
That's
just
what I
finally
wanna
happened in
say.
public.
That's what I want to say. It was satisfying to see. And Miss Ivanka no longer uses Saggy's name. She is no longer Ivanka Saggy. She is now
Saggy.
Ivanka Kushner.
Oh, we're talking
But she
about
is
the
still
tangerine
Ivanka Trump.
nightmare
No,
again.
Saggy.
Sorry, that was bad.
Ivanka
my-
Saggy.
I'm sorry. I need to be at that.
And one of
way.
my favorite electronic music groups was Tangerine Dream, but now I can't even think about it because I see Tangerine, I think, oh, it's that guy.
Oh my God, this could
Oh.
happen to me with Supertramp, y'all.
Tangerine.
No.
Oh no. I love the Super
I
Tramp.
love Supertramp, but not Tramp.
I'm not. I can't. I'm not gonna think of it that way.
I had to quit
I'm
eating
gonna take the long
dreamsicles.
way home. That's what I'm gonna do.
You had to quit eating dreamsicles.
Dreamsicles.
Thankfully, I was like completely over my Cheeto addiction by the time this came along. Because if
You had a Cheeto addiction? You had the orange fingers of shame?
it was bad. It was really bad. Like
I still have been outed for showing up with the fingers of orange. And
it's the fingers. That's the
I
best
am a
part.
proud-
And you scrape them all off onto one finger and then make a ball and then eat it. I'm sorry, that's just me.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's a 12-step
Oh,
program
I can't
for
believe you
for
just
Cheeto
said
addiction
that.
because I am a Cheeto-aholic.
Oh, I have a confession to make. I am not just addicted to Cheetos. I'm addicted to baked flaming hot Cheetos.
Oh, well,
that's
that
some
goes
serious
without
shit.
saying.
That's
If
really
it's
serious.
not a real Cheeto, if it's not the hard,
I know,
like,
I need
could
that- I
break
need that
a
hard
tooth,
crunch.
hard Cheeto.
like
Well, they are. I
toothy.
mean, the
the other
baked
ones have
the
the
baked
they're-
Cheetos are pretty crunchy.
but they turn into like cellophane in your
No,
mouth.
Yes.
no.
I don't know. Maybe it's just my mouth, but for some reason,
I'm not going there.
my mouth won't let that happen. My mouth will not let anything shaped like that come near it.
Aww.
Yeah, the other one I won't even touch.
Me
Moving
either.
on.
Me either.
Moving on.
Oh, okay, moving on. So let's talk about the Stormy Daniels lawsuit. What is going on? Does anybody know what's going on with that? Because that's part of the investigation, right? One of
Just say it fits right into my tramp name.
yes,
Her. Him.
it's part of the New York AG's thing, but I'm not really sure.
Oh, the payoff money thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Her
so
and the other woman who was not nearly as skanky, but still.
skanky
I
enough.
don't know if
Yeah.
the Stormy Daniels thing has any traction anymore. If there's anything happening with that.
No, it's a fraud thing.
Yeah, it's
I
the payoff money that was handled by Cohen and all of those guys.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
are they
a-
still
In
doing
be-
anything
in
with
behalf
that?
of the tangerine
Yes,
one.
it's
Oh, yeah.
part of the
Still
it's
pending.
one part of the New York AG complaint.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
All the financial finagling that went on with it, it's all still pretty live in New York, at least.
Do
You know
y'all
what's
think-
funny is that I can remember going to like the Texas Tribune Festival and Michael Avenatti showing up and everybody thinking he was going to run for president. And now he's in prison. And pretty soon he'll be in prison with the vampire.
I can't talk about him.
What, Michael Avenatti or the vampire?
I kind of had a crush on Michael Avenatti. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah, I
I
did
thought
too.
that you didn't have crushes on men.
No, I didn't say that. I just said I don't like those
She's an
things
equal
close to my
opportunity
face.
crusher.
Oh, okay. Okay. All
Things
right.
sacred. But no,
Avenatti was a real disappointment.
He was a real disappointment. Yeah.
Ah,
He was a real disappointment.
if
like-
he had been, honestly, I'm going to say, if he had been a Republican, I would have thought he was a used car salesman. But I was seriously, I was taken. I feel so
Smitten.
stupid.
I think
Yes.
you're smitten.
I was smitten like a kitten. And I'm so okay. So John and I tied, I think, for this game. And Scoop, you had 1, so you came in second. And so far, with 6 minutes left in the game, Screamish Joy is ahead with 0 mentions of Saggy Man.
Exhibiting her good taste.
She just
in
did
language
it.
once again.
Tramp.
Oh,
She says
tramp.
tramp.
I'm
Yeah.
tramping. I'm
Tramp.
tramping.
See, when I see tramp, it makes me think of Lady and the Tramp, and I like the Tramp.
Makes me think of a
Yeah.
tramp
Well, think
stamp.
of the lady as being the
tramp.
prosecutor in Georgia, okay?
I am so, they keep mispronouncing her name on Fox, like on purpose.
Of course they do.
And they're like Fanny, whatever it is. It's like, really? You
Mhm.
fucking moron, Laura Ingraham.
I think there
Oh,
could be a
she-
line of ladies like waiting to literally take a slap and throat punch of the tramp.
And Kellyanne Conway's in some trouble, it sounds like.
Ooh, what's up with her? I haven't heard her name in a while.
I know. I just
Or
came
her
up the other
daughter's
day.
name. Like
Yeah, I think she's in hiding. I would be. I don't remember in what context Kellyanne came up, but she's got some
Wasn't she
nefarious-
married to the guy that was her opposite? And aren't
George.
they? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
being split apart, I believe.
Yeah.
Did they
Yeah, I think they
separate?
were getting divorced
They
finally.
did get
No
divorced.
one really
Yeah.
was surprised.
No.
It's like, whoa, I
No.
never saw that coming. Yes, we all saw that coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it. I mean, how could you not? I think they
Well, I
stayed.
mean, James Carville and Mary pulled it off for,
Well, but they weren't attacking.
I know they were respectful.
It was a
He
completely
was like
different
actively
thing.
trying to get her to lose her job, like literally, like he
You
was
you were talking about tramps. I wonder if Lauren has a tramp stamp.
Yes.
Come on.
yes.
Yes.
I'm willing
The
to
only thing
literally
that's-
bet
Now
an
we
amount
just
of money.
the question is, what does it say?
I'm willing to bet my winnings from the He Who Shall Not Be Named game that she does.
I'm not taking that bet. But I would like to know what it says.
I think
I
this
would
is what I
say
think
it,
it is.
but I would
I
get
think
in
it's
trouble
two
for it.
guns pointing away from each other, shooting out roses. Okay, that's what I think.
You
maybe,
guys,
maybe it says wide load, like on the back of those
Oh
trucks.
my God.
you know.
Or it's just a target.
you know, I think that Fox News is not doing too well.
No.
No kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have a
Well,
lot
all
of
their
issues
cool guys
right
got
now.
fired, so what are they
Yeah.
going to do?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're losing listeners, and he who shall not be mumbled about
Or tolerated.
hates them. They hate
Killed him.
him.
They
If you
killed
look
it.
at
They
their
killed it.
website now, it really just looks like a tabloid newspaper kind of
That's
thing.
Well, I
what
mean,
it
they're on the New
is.
York
It's
Post.
so they're
weird the
finally
kind
being
of stuff that
authentic.
they're
Is that what you're
covering.
saying? So they've like moved into authenticity.
They become
Yeah, I
the,
mean, it's mostly just crap.
they're the TV version of the New York Post. I mean, it's like it's the same company, and they're just
But they're owned by Rupert Murdoch.
Yep.
And that's so is the Wall Street Journal. And so I don't understand how people don't make this fucking connection. It isn't hard. As soon as he won, the Wall Street Journal said, we will never call the president a liar. We will never use that word with him. Well, okay, great. Now I know exactly who not to look for real news on this guy.
Well, the good news is that all the rest of mainstream media was going to pick up the slack for the Wall Street Journal
Yeah, but
And they-
because
Some
nobody
did and
was
some
shy
didn't,
about
yeah.
calling him a liar. Really, I mean,
no, but there are certain people who only read the Wall Street Journal or get their information from Fox. And so when you do that and you read, for example, in my opinion, the Wall Street Journal is, considered on a par with the Washington Post, only right-sided. And so if you get someone who just reads the Wall Street Journal, they're not going to know. They're not being educated at all. I don't know how many
Well,
times
they might. I'm not so sure about that. I think the Wall Street Journal does try to be a fairly straight news organization
there's
Well,
so
and
many
really
things.
report stuff, you know.
I
They don't
actually read the Wall
report
Street Journal
so
only
much.
to see if the money I put into GameStop is still it's still in existence.
That's
Just to
awesome.
check.
No, I actually read it because I know someone who has a subscription, and I read it, and I will look purposely at the front page stories on other newspapers like the Post or New York Times, and it isn't even mentioned you cannot find, if you try to Google it, Wall Street Journal plus subject that you would like to look up, nothing. Nothing.
They're when I was in college, I was a business major, and the University of North Texas gave all the business majors a free subscription to the Wall Street Journal. So actually, I just ended up with a lot of stuff to put in the cat box because I couldn't afford.
Well, it used to be a financial paper, and now they've got these op-eds, and it's ruined it, I think.
Yeah.
It is time. I
Thank you
think
very much.
yeah, it's right at 8:00. So
Look at
Okay,
us.
it's 8:00 now. I can say Trump. Trump.
cool. Next week, I think
want
Kevin
the
Welch is
something.
going to join us next week, and we can talk about technology
Technology.
Excellent.
and tech policy and that kind of thing.
That
Anyway.
sounds great.
All right, so off we go. Thanks,
Hasta
everybody.
everyone.
This was
Hasta
fun.
Luigi.
Hasta luego.
Ah, sí, sí.
Bye.